Every day. I don't want to. I don't want to.
He's a York Weasel, aka the blowing shithole. A mess. With apologies.
Good day.
Yeah. David, would you like to do this?
I want to do it. I want to do it.
All right,
I
David.
love watching Crucible.
We're live right now.
We're live.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen.
Live and in the flash. Whee! Boogity, 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 shoot. Come on, baby. Oh,
Come on, baby.
I have a poem
Let's
tonight
read it.
that includes everybody, including you, Mr. Always, Mr. Never, Clyde the Glide. Sacred's checklist. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Hear ye, Tommy.
Now we have a make it.
Welcome to Sacred Grounds with Dan Brady. Welcome to Sacred Grounds with Dan Brady is the current, the wash down the river host of this, the longest running open mic in Walter Cronkite's known and unknown universe.
Known and unknown universe.
Serving up good food and fine poetry since 1972. Please support this reading by enjoying the food and drink served here. Let's have a big hand for Teddy and Fiona, our hosts and hostess. Poetry of all kinds, ladies and gents, is welcome, and we ask you to please respect the mic.
Hallelujah.
Keep conversations in a whisper. Put phones on, or and don't distract the speaker. Yeah, try. I dare you. Try and distract the speaker. Nice try.
Nice.
It'll never work. Or pass in front of him or her. Also, keep to the time limit, usually 5 minutes, but that can change. Remember, change. Who's got some change? Remember, we have two shows. The 7-ish and the 8:30-ish. And Dr. Seuss, the 10:30 imaginary one, too. For this reason, that's the 10:30-ish. For this reason, I ask for generosity. Give me money. Going short helps with our tradition of getting everyone on the mic at one time. You know, angels on the head of a pin. Okay, if you want to be in the proverbial loop, 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 loopity doop, we have an opt-in.
Oh, that's not even there.
And a fold-out, and an origami email list, and a Facebook group. We stream the video, and this is handy in 5 ways. I bet you didn't expect the Spanish Inquisition. Six ways, 7.
No one expected
You can
Spanish
view
Inquisition.
in from home. Family or friends can see you live if you show up at their doorstep, or later on if you don't show up at their doorstep. If you want to hear so-and-so's, so-and-so, such and such, them and them, poem again. Oof, you want to hear it again?
No.
Jesus' poem again. Why, you can. Want to do a self-critique? Raise hands. Who wants to do a self-critique? That's what I thought.
I'm giving a half.
I thought so.
can't
If you
help
really
myself.
want to. And it's a way to put out the word. Yours, mine, ours, theirs.
Any word.
Remember, the ongoing theme, never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead.
Thank
The
you.
evening's theme is not Margaret Mead, it is...
Margaret Mead.
Oh, the evening theme is
Oh, well, come on.
rebelliousness,
Yes.
rebel without a cause.
Rebel
Clause.
without a pause, without a clause.
Clause.
Rebel without a Santa. Okay. And this next week's feature will be...
Next week's feature will
Next
be the
week's
magical, the enchanting, the wonderful, the courageous, the incredible Thea Matthews.
Thea Matthews.
Thea Matthews.
Now, so the first show, the keynote will be...
Keynote will be Britt Peter.
Britt Peters.
In the house.
While our feature
Our
is...
feature is the Bay Area Poets Coalition. This evening, John Rowe is here. Stephanie Mann, Clyde Always, Britt Peter, and Garrett Murphy are in the lineup for that particularly spectacular event.
And I've been going there as long as anyone, and did they ask me? No. I'm not even part of this. But I love them anyhow. Woo! What?
He said he's never going to talk to you again.
Who will
Thank
gi-
you.
While our feature is so-and-so, who will give the Queen's wave?
Well, John can give the...
Yeah, go ahead, John. Do it.
As to the second show, the last word will be.
The last word.
The last word will be. The last word will be.
The
The
Mr.
end.
Sanderell is the last word.
Ah.
And the mini feature, did I say?
And the featurette is.
I should call it that. Sharon Scott Kish, who is in the house.
Sharon,
As we like to say, in the house.
And we have fabulous door prizes.
Do we have prizes or do we have prizes? National Geographic,
Step right up.
what Darwin didn't know.
Yeah.
He didn't know that his father was not his father. Peregrine Falcon, in case you want to know about that. Now we get into the books.
Books.
Mark Twain, for crying out loud. The
Ah!
Incredible Library. Ouch! Great quote from Mark. Happy for No Reason, 7 Steps to Being Happy from the Inside Out by Marcy Shimoff. I don't know anything about it. Irish Red by Jim. This is not even an Irish name. It's like Gielgard. Irish Red. Now this is Jane Austen. Not really a term.
What a thick tome.
A weighty tome, as we like to say. Michael Erard. Slips, stumbles, and verbal blunders and what they mean. So if you get into conversation with somebody, you can map that out. Ruth Prower. Oh, God. A New Dominion.
Easy for you to say.
Ruth Prower.
Jabala.
Take it away.
Jabala.
There we go. So that's there. Now, since we have the Bay Area Poets Coalition, these copies here are available for donations to their nonprofit causes, and these advertise their upcoming competition, the Maggie H. Meyer Memorial Poetry Contest of 2018. These are the rules, Poet's Choice, any subject, all the things you need to know about it are right here. And you can join that organization for a mere $15 a year, which gives you advantages.
Worth at least
that are-
twice that much. At
Yes,
least.
worth at least twice that much. Then, of course,
At
there's a
least half that
keynote,
much.
which Peter is tonight, choosing the theme or prompt, which is rebelliousness this evening. The last word, which of course is Mr. Sanderell tonight. Mini feature, Sharon, and the co-pilot, Rob. So if those books don't float your boat, these non-prize prizes are there for you to consider and like that.
Be advised, although we record the evening, if an audience member wishes to do so, please ask permission.
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 Persimmon.
Persimmon.
We'll assume you've done so should we notice recordings being made.
Yes, we will assume that.
Nobody loves us that
And you
much.
know what assume does.
Makes an ass out of you and me.
We're ready to go.
We're ready to go. Thank you. And now let's present Britt, our keynote of the evening. Give Britt a round of applause as he comes up here. He's going to kick it off. He is great. We like him. We love him. His style is everything. Thank you. Keep it up. We'll talk to you.
Okay, this is a poem by Jack Gilbert. The whiteness, the sound, and Alcibiades. So I come on this birthday at last, here in the house of strangers, with a broken pair of shoes, no profession, and a few poems. After all that promise. Not by addiction or play, by choices. By concern for whales and love, for elephants and Alcibiades. But to arrive at so little product. A few corners done, an arcade up, but unfaced. And everywhere the ambitious, unfinished monuments of Michigan and magnitude, like persisting on the arrogant steeple of Beauvais. I wake in Trastevere in the house of city peasants, and lie in the noise dreaming on the wealth of summer nights from my childhood when the dark was 60 feet deep in luxury of elm and maple and sycamore. That's one sentence. I wandered hour by hour with my gentle, bewildered need, following the faint sound of women in the moving leaves. In Latium years ago, I sat by the road watching an ox come through the day, stark white in the distance, occasionally under a tree, colorless in the heavy sun, suave in the bright shadows, starch white near in the glare, petal white near in the shade, linen, stone white and milk, ox white before me, and passed into the thunder of light. For 10 years I have tried to understand about the ox, about the sound, the wails of love, and arrived here to give thanks for the prophet. I wake to the wanton freshness, to the arriving and leaving, to the journey. I wake to the freshness and do reverence.
Thank you. And I'm handing you the attribution sheet so he can give me the name and the name of the poem and the author so that I don't always write Morgan Freeman's last will and testament, which is framed on my thing. He doesn't like it when I do that. Morgan, I just get so pissed off. Have you ever seen him, Matt?
Yeah. It ain't free.
So, Joseph, we're just gonna walk back that way. Oh, so Joseph hasn't been here in a long time. This is not his debut, but he hasn't been here in a long time. Give him a nice welcome. Joseph Sticker! Haven't seen you in a while. Just make sure you're really close to the microphone because otherwise we don't hear anything.
Didn't know I'd be here tonight. It was a last minute decision. Don't got this one memorized, but I'm gonna give it my best.
All right.
Good to see everyone. You know, I'm kind of settling down. It's hard to stay sane nowadays, isn't it? For us empathetic souls who actually see the inside of people. And we have someone now who's trying to stir us up to not see each other, but see the names that we call each other. I am Jamal Khashoggi. I will not still my pen. I will not deny light for darkness inside men. I am Jamal Khashoggi. I will not defile my nose. I will not kiss the ass of a tyrant who describes thorns to murder a rose. I'm not done. I am Jamal Khashoggi. My truth is not a lie. I will share what I see, even if it means I will die. Humanity is a formula with required variables in the equation. Selfishness and ego create solutions with truth's evasion. I am Jamal Khashoggi. The truth deserves a voice, especially when inhumanity is any ruler's voice. Do I have time for one more?
Yeah, you got like 3-4 minutes.
Do not be dismayed by the ignorant mind. Let them say what they want, but continue to find. For ahead of you waits the most brilliant of times, full of glorious colors and magical rhymes. Do not be afraid to be who you are. Your own special talents will carry you far. And be not alarmed by the doubt that you'll hear from a world that is weakened by hesitant fear. Too often uniqueness is wrongly suppressed. Small minds try to keep others' greatness repressed. They selfishly point to the thorns of a rose, seeing not all its splendor and gift to the nose. Please know that you're special and do as you will. Don't listen to comments that make your soul ill. To be rich is a blessing that costs not a cent. It is seeing the beauty in every day spent. It is no mystery or illusion to say that our bodies will wither and then fade away, but the beauty and the glory of the passion inside is a radiant splendor that no one should hide. Look around at the brilliance of all that you see and think of the minds who would not let things be the way that they've been. Status quo, c'est la vie. They changed the whole world with the strength of their chi. Every product you use started out as a thought that someone with vision persistently sought. The silent eraser of history's ink is submission to fear what others might think. We all have our gifts to impart to this world. Let your life be a treasure uniquely unfurled. And remember that time travels only one way, touched by the things that we do and we say. With a confident heart, you can inspire and lead. Of all you can offer, the world is in need.
Bravo. so much. Who are the next 5?
We have Owen, Buford, Stephanie.
Oh, no, she's going to come for the feature.
Okay,
So
then
Owen Buford,
Owen Buford and Lotus.
then Joe, then Jack. So Owen, come on up, dear. Give him a round as he comes up here. The mighty Mr. Owen Nichols, known for many things. A welcome voice.
Ow.
A voice for choice.
Hey, I'll read a few poems from Tide Sung Outcry. This is the first poem. Rock's Awakening. Little men out to sea, fishing invisible, their tongues at quiet, pacing the determined hours upon the quiet soft sand. The obsequious waves still lull me to heaven. Milieu, Pashaman terrace, salt on the dew of the woods of manna, manna, manna. Cry windward, the sperm's rock soil of true endeavor, selfhood, survival of the fittest, lying quietly on the sand. Kelp rocks barter no more, their abalone fervor to please, the rich pasies and posies of Tide Sung Outcry. Rhapsody. Talking on a hot windy night, the calm sun starts to cry. The windy fears we all stroll by. The leaves take to the air affright. The air has a sudden sadness. Might herds become men? Beats funny sigh. The cloak of evening, I well ask why, does the afternoon pass the night? We are the children of the good. The leaves see us fit through our unchanging. They're but in one mood. We can say we are too static as cosmic eternal sunshine. Some things we say tonight are thine. Oak Grove Park. The shady napping leaves of noon at my feet like a plush green Appian way. Dark light green grass and the sway of the vast expanse of the moon. JPL and Devil's Gate Dam. Soon the tides of night, come what may, make all the memories to say every spring in May, the son of June. The grass turned brown, the matter it used to make, the thunder of the sky, the jets, dishes clatter. The day would not be half asunder. Our sliding doors shake lightly. We know the answers. We say so slightly. Day of life. The iron flute whinnies and tootles. Clouds of pink and orange red. Illicit silver soul flashes to the gates that block the earth that feeds the sea of horns and fishes. Cattails mope and teach the black sky, new brides of longing and deceit. We say so to further beds of lava and reeds blowing, imploring the wind to chasten its huge lungs, an impious stride of death. Anew, Prometheus, suffer no more. Blow thy horn of the hours of the morn of riot and mirth. Odysseus, bend thy bow. Send thy shafts through the musk and mire of light and cavity. Go deep in the soul of beauty and send no more. Curse thy province in grief and winds. Burdened widen the sky, thy sky. Tear no more his noble flesh and spirit. Villanelle, to stay the night. My candle burns at both ends, blows away to stay the night. ask the morrow to make amends. I know it doth the way descend, my soul to stay to the right. My candle burns at both ends. In half my garments I do rend, the day of rain in cunning might, ask the morrow to make amends. Two ladders with doth bend Thursday's wreath, my soul contrite. My candle burns at both ends. Torn cases a man does find a way, flimsy, flows like a kite. Ask the morrow to make amends. My head spinning queasily does wend its slow way towards the fallen light. My candle burns at both ends. Ask the morrow to make amends.
Thank you, Jerome.
So thank you very much.
And Mr. Buford Bunton is coming up to move.
Dodgers or Red Sox?
Never not, don't even say it. Red Sox.
Don't say it.
Yeah, already did. Oh, forget it, that's right. Speaking of baseball, this is called the Kiss Cam at AT&T Park. In times of war and economic devastation, it's important to think that we as a society and a world encourage love. At AT&T Park, the scoreboard has a Kiss Cam, where a camera roams the park about 3/4 through the game and focuses on couples, while Frank Sinatra sings Strangers in the Night in the background. The couples may choose, of course, whether to kiss or not, but are good-naturedly ribbed by the crowd if they don't. I crane my neck from behind the fenced area known as the knothole, enough to see their affection. Done just before taking me out to the ball game in the bottom half of the same inning. It seems to add a good cheer, which is really needed considering the Giants often do not wake up and start hitting until the 8th or 9th innings. If then, right. Well, this is 2011, and they did a little bit then, but not much anymore, you're right. I was a baseball player myself as a teenager on teams that seldom won, but at the encouragement of my former semi-professional baseball playing grandfather, pitched my heart out in the 90-degree plus heat and humidity of the Mobile, Alabama summers. In the 50-degree springs and summers of the Bay baseball park with a beautiful breezeway in McCovey Cove, former ball dunking ground of the all-time home run king and steroids trial attendant Barry Bonds. I stand here scribbling before and behind the Friday night orange shirted magnificence of the Giants team. When they win, it's almost always 10 p.m. or later. After 2.5 to 3 hours of waiting for the right pitches from the opposing pitchers, it's a long, cold night of sometimes joy.
All right. Lotus. Lotus, then Jack, and then Joe, then Jack, then Tommy. Then the Beats, the Bippo.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you want.
I'll just put Al.
Yeah, I'm gonna sing my poem, or whatever. Here we go.
Do you want me to put that for you?
All right, anyhow, here we go. Time is wasting. I'm happy, can hardly say the word, just happy. I know it sounds absurd, but I'm happy. You know it's crazy but true, crazy but true. I'm just so happy. Well, almost never down. Happy since you've been around. Happy, bum, 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 in the loving of you. I'm giddy, wobbly in the knees, giddy about the birds and the bees. I'm giddy, lost in your baby blues, those baby blues. I'm just so giddy, blowing in the breeze. Giddy, you fill my heart with ease. Giddy, bum, 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 from the loving of you. But oh, those bad old days before we met, life was work and struggle and trying to forget those awful jerks that came before. Well, it's funny, wanna giggle and play. Funny, let's do it any old way. Honey, funny, honey, tell me what can I do? What can I do? It's just so funny. Wanna laugh out loud. Funny, my head's lost in a cloud. Funny, bump, 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 about the loving of you. 'Cause I'm happy, well, I'm never down. Happy since you've been around. Happy, bump, 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 in the loving of you. The loving of you, the loving of you.
And that brings us to, doesn't that bring us to Joe? Joe Pasquale. Give him a nice round of eagles up here. We haven't seen him probably since he got
I guess I didn't know that the theme tonight's rebellion, so I think these will
You
these
can
will
rebel
fit in.
against that.
Yeah, this will be for Jack since we were talking about this. It's a rebellion against greed. It's a sonnet, Money Bear's sonnet. They say a formless enemy can never die, day haunting all trade through vessels and air, through possession invisible to eyes. Lurks that ghost of greed devouring care, where hearts surrender moral victories and hides a deceased peace for regression, praising each of greed's evil tragedies, mounting midnight's war into possession. Oh, money bears, is there anything more that you want or need which is not left? By stealing the sweat of what each hour brings, is there no time we can hide from your theft? Hark! Greed can take any man for its host, so run away all and escape from its ghost.
Yeah.
This would be a rebellion maybe against ignorance. Sounds of darkness, sounds of light. Listen, listen, listen to the raindrop tears striking prison. Listen, listen, listen to our souls crying as birth realizes death and shudders our eyes to the dark soul, bone, and flesh. Listen, listen, listen to every tear of our page which can't be undone. Far behind our eyelids, where light is a storm to the dark, and all our unripened fruits never seen hide in secret lair rot. Listen, listen, listen to the dying dew on meadows, under every fruit that goes sour. To each their own, a bittersweet fate as we each near our final hours. For without life, life cannot rain such bitter, sour juices for tempted senses to refrain. Listen, 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 can you hear the light defy dark ears? To free the stolen souls of their heart's petty rush to fool's gold, left no longer free, left broke in arrears. Listen, 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 until every rash voice goes cold in your ears, be ceased and erased. Listen, 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 until not even desolation, utters a sound in your place. This one's life and death fighting each other, rebelling against each other. Longing the long goodbye, hopes, dreams, angels' wings, or just pure dread. Choke it out, change it forever, this moment, live it and befriend. Before it carries us from clouds back to puddles and buries us back into soil. Each of us a gain from a seed, a loss from a stem, a heavenly raindrop fallen in and out of need. Each of us a grain from a seed, before something turned us dry in rain, turned by light into something dark and vain, burying us deep in our impure need. A loss from a stem, back to a seed, back to soil. Soil, always born of it and need it to live. Roots to blooms, we each graze off the living, doomed. Stretching from roots, we breach it, casting our shadows for a time, we store it. Longing the long goodbye, limits, faults, bad dreams, mistakes, born unjust and needing to die. Of impure flesh, such are the lusts of life, delivering death in haste. And so I say, and I pray for all that of love and life, let there be no more waste. Never from the fruits we bear, and never from the fruits we taste. Let there be no more waste, left for death, longing the long goodbye. Yeah. Thank you.
Jack Melander!
Jack Melander!
Please no screeching. This is called Wheels. Wheels, 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 where to find them? Last year we borrowed Joe's, but he put them back on his American Flyer and moved west. He was a better pusher than Tommy, and you need someone to push in the flatlands. Ah, Tommy's sister Marilyn has a doll buggy. Haven't seen her with that for a week. Beautiful doll buggy wheels on our racer, cobbled together from an old console TV cabinet. I steered it into several other guys. Demolition Derby, and we won that race. But Marilyn went crying to her mommy. Her mommy came 2 blocks over to where we held our Grand Prix and made us return the wheel, grounded. It's called Evolve. Since everybody's ancestry got it so on and on, may new goat boys and sea nymphs fawn on loving without jealousy, with a blither sensation of larking, inspiring their courting and sparking. Larking's to soar as easy as dive. Larking's energy is relish of simply being alive. This is called Same Show. Where there arrives in waves of breakers, water, massive, liquid moving, Upon the sand recline heartbreakers, so scantily clad they're much behooving beach bums to hide arousal and proposals of carousal. Not ogres be, but gentlemen walking, who limit to glances their gawking. You're a sexy girl on any public bay, beach, Frisco type bay, or bay of fundies reveals just what one could on a bus you'd beseech to lift up her clothes and show you around it. It's called Between. Between the cloudland after death, where archetypes choke the fancy's breath, and underneath the slave world's girth, where confrontation binds men's mirth, between recline the downs compose, where thrives inspiration's known. Above, sky's science-loving sea, where freezes fabulosity. Below is vision's workhouse grim, where businessmen indenture him. Amidmost groves of artistry, where feeling throbs alive and free. Reluctance here's beset with lots of gentle hearts seducing plots, and here in children's son of morn congeal the gifts wherewith they're born. From this alone of worlds that are, may poets hope to reach some star. It's called Nation. Not a nation of people, a wage slave state of nebushes. Not a nation of by the people, but Occupy demonstrations by the people. Not a nation for the people, but for the 1%, for industrial monopolists, fascist warmongers who think for the promise of their security, we're all happy to fork over any rights, freedoms, and enfranchisement they need to steal or rip off. It's called an up poem. The rain flashing, the gale rumbled. He skated out into the cold, wet dark, then sweeping downhill, lightly stumbled against wind so relentless, stark, that gravity itself was humbled. Is it some cafe that light reveals? To a bus stop bench he glided, doffed his ride for red spring heels, so the lightness stayed decided. With his pack of pinion wheels, nearly into the black him hoisting, he went with bounding strides, the brazen doors him foisting off on the waitress smiling inside, with lips her tongue had been moistening. He'd a levitation sensation so free, thus multiplied by 3, the wind, his springs, her grin to see, that up near the hanging TV he hovered, above her bosom barely covered. She peered at him from her bottles and kegs and laughed as he folded his leg. Epicurean decree. If 1/365th of every year we celebrate, not always with some smoke or fifth, one New Year's Day, then at that rate we remain in the new millennium's debt for 25 months of revelry yet. Let me vote for parties of genuine fun. Love-making is the type of ecstasy, as in fervid sex with a willing hun in rested healthy energy. All pleasures else than this sort of joy must be some falling off, distortion, alloy. But it's not in the spirit of festivity to proscribe, or prioritize what females, fluids, or fumes may be most apropos pleasures to exploited guys, thrust in the unlikely situation of having to party with great jubilation.
Calendar.
Tommy A. Mecca.
Tommy A. Mecca. Tommy A. Mecca. Tommy A. Mecca. Then there's me, and there's David, then there's Lord Fauntleroy, and Jesus Christ in a handbasket.
Too much of Jesus, please.
That's what I say.
So the Rump administration is proposing to wipe out transgender people. I don't know if you've read about that. So here's what I have to say to them besides, and that's Italian, but I won't translate it. You can't erase us, define us out of existence, make us extinct. Not any of us. Amen. L, G, B, or T can't divide us, deny any part of us, edit us into oblivion, silence us. Your words fall on ears that have heard it all. There's no pseudoscience, no political party, no would-be dictator strong enough to send us back into our closets. The cold, awful shadows, the dangerous existences we had before we rose up. Our rebellion, already the stuff of legend. We have more lives than any cat, more persistence than the wind, more defiance than French peasants. We won't eat cake. Our survival skills have been honed to be invincible. Your churches, eugenics, Holocaust, Vice Squad couldn't eradicate us. We're everywhere. We'll simply outlive you. And in the same vein, I don't know how many people saw the recent PBS special on eugenics, the eugenics movement, which gave the blueprint for Nazi Germany and the final solution, but it's very scary. If you get a chance, go back and look at it. I'm going to read you some stuff that actually quotes right from their literature. And you'll see the similarities with what we're hearing today from a certain vile administration. Some people are born to be a burden on the rest. By the way, they sterilize. They were the ones who got the sterilization laws passed in this country, which were a model for Germany's sterilization laws. So I'll start again. Some people are born to be a burden on the rest. Sterilize the poor, the uneducated, prostitutes, the illiterate, the disabled, the epileptic, sex deviants, criminals. Put them in camps. Label them morons, feeble-minded, immoral. Create a pseudoscience to justify judging them by the shape and size of their heads, the look of their eyes, their ethnic origins, their family's diseases. Don't let them contaminate the gene pool of the Anglo-Protestant upper class. Only healthy seeds must be sown. Propose a wall around the country to protect us from the masses arriving at Ellis Island every day. Pass a law to cut back the immigration of Italians, Japanese, Chinese, Eastern Europeans, Jews, and other undesirables. Inspire sterilization laws and a final solution in another country, a continent away. Make better families, better babies, a fitter future. Make America great again. Okay, real quickly, in a similar vein, I'm sort of in the same vein tonight. They come, like millions have come before, the huddled masses, the lady in the harbor, the mother of exiles invites to her shores. Without judgment, without political agenda or party loyalty, ever lifting her lamp, she never tires, always beckoning, send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. The descendants of immigrants, the descendants of the huddled masses of decades past, don't remember the treacherous journey across the Atlantic, the frightening entry onto Ellis Island to escape pogroms, potato famine, extreme poverty. They don't realize that but for 2 or 3 generations that have set roots here, they would be today's migrant caravan or asylum seekers. They who have no other choice but to implore the Colossus on the island for entry, for mercy. There is no mercy in this nation of hypocrites. The descendants of immigrants talk of walls, not welcomes, separation of families, children in cages, punishments for refugees wanting a better life like their grandparents and great-grandparents. Who deserves America the most? Those who reject the simple words on the plaque at the base of the copper and wrought iron Libertas? Or those she waits for?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm going to segue relatively nicely from that.
Oh, you're Daniel Beeps.
Yeah, I'm Daniel Beeps. I put that on there.
I thought
Now,
we
just
had
make sure
someone
make
new.
sure I'm framed in there. 'Cause
I was framed, Rocky.
So, good evening, everybody. How are you?
Whee!
You won't be that way for long. So, I'm going to reading some things from this book that I produced a few years back, Insight to Riot, since rebellion is part of what it is. I'm going to begin with quotes that were seen on handmade signs at some of the events. And I'm going to do some other quotes and stuff like this. Is a bunch of quotes. You can't evict an idea whose time has come. Okay, let me just get my glasses on, guys. Occupy everywhere. We are not camping, we are assembling peacefully to petition for a redress of grievances. The Bill of Rights is our permit. People before profits. Outgrow the status quo. It's a planet, not an empire. Government by organized money is just as dangerous as government by organized crime. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Why is it easier to believe that 150 million Americans are being lazy rather than 400 Americans are being greedy? Just asking. If you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find excuses. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be bankers. Let me go move here. Oh, these quotes have to do with human rights and justice. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Martin Luther King. That which should be destroyed by truth, that's what can be destroyed by truth, should be. That's by P.C. Hodgel. Every time we witness an injustice and do not act, we train our character to be passive in its presence and thereby eventually lose all ability to defend ourselves and those we love. Julian Assange. The civil rights of none shall be abridged on account of religious belief or worship, nor shall any national religion be established, nor shall the full and equal rights of conscience be in any manner or in any pretext or for any pretext infringed. That's James Madison on introducing the Bill of Rights. No self-respecting woman should wish for or work for the success of a party that ignores her sex. That's Susan B. Anthony, 1872. A feminist is anyone who recognizes the equality and full humanity of women and men. When sleeping women awake, mountains move, a Chinese proverb. These are for the media. Whoever controls the media controls the mind, Jim Morrison. The more society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those who speak of it, George Orwell. Journalism is printing what someone else doesn't want printed. Everything else is public relations. That's also George Orwell. If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read the newspaper, you're misinformed. That's Mark Twain. The propagandist's purpose is to make one set of people forget that certain other sets of people are human. That's Aldous Huxley. And from Voltaire we have, to learn who rules over you, simply find out who you're not allowed to criticize. And that helps that. And then here, where's this? Oh, yes. Oh. Only in America can you be pro-death penalty, pro-war, pro-unmanned drone bombs, pro-nuclear weapons, pro-guns, pro-torture, pro-landmines, and be pro-life. John Fugelsang. Many people consider the things which government does for them to be social progress, but regard the things government does for others as socialism. That's Chief Justice Earl Warren, 1952. Oh, and this is one of my favorites. There are two fundamental problems in American politics. The first is that most Americans do not believe that elected officials represent their interests. The second is that they are correct. And that's John Gastel of Penn State University. I consider it completely unimportant who in the party will vote or how. But what is extraordinarily important is this: who will count the votes? That's Stalin. Taxpayers keep spending money on sending congressmen on expensive trips abroad. It might be worth it, except they keep on coming back. Will Rogers. The modern conservative is engaged in one of man's oldest exercises in moral philosophy. That is, the search for a superior moral justification for selfishness. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweigh the dangers which are cited to justify it. John F. Kennedy. And where's that last one? Oh. Individual capability. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. That's Alice Walker. How wonderful it is that no one need wait a single moment before starting to change the world. Anne Frank. If you are neutral on situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. Desmond Tutu. Each time a person stands up for an ideal or acts to improve the lot of others, they send forth a tiny ripple of hope. These ripples build a current which can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. Robert Kennedy. And from unknown, morality is doing what is right, regardless of what you're told. Obedience is doing what you're told, regardless of what is right. Thank you. I'm going to put this in the giveaways. Thank you. And then who else?
Up next, Goliath Erdreich.
Goliath
Goliath.
Erdreich. Give me Erdreich. I got 6. And then we had and then the beach was following.
You're melting! Well, go ahead, melt.
Patty Mel. Who said that?
That's my sister's best friend's second cousin.
Oh, here we go again. Around the bell.
I'm sorry, I'll stop now.
Sacred ground up. Ferority, Saturnity, Serenity. Every Wednesday Eve for a while, we are loom mates. Whole cloth, high collared, green gleam. We strand together at high tide, hermits finding an alternate shell. Like the male rock wren, we lay a path of small pebbles up to the den that only a papermate can spot and follow. We share bugs disguised as poems. We chirp our separate stories filtered into a quilt, then disperse, planning to reconvene at the same scene a week hence to mime our memes, both airy and dense. That's it, it's done. Talking about you! Me? Yeah, well, sometimes you.
Sorry.
Haiku askew. Poetry, therein lies. Poetry, therein lies. Poetry, therein lies. I lose the thread when the garment has no shape. That was 6, 4, 7. Yeah, for those of you who are counting.
I was counting.
Oh,
I do that.
you count. Okay. I wasn't here for counterculture, culture. All fall down. May I take your order, please? 100,000 ways to disintegrate. You eat the fungus, you cheat the fungus. Nary a trace of chlorophyll. Hugh Sickly comes to take your order. Fibrous tendrils of putrescence strike coral poses erupting from your tongue. E-E-I-O-U. Puffs deep cobalt spores that nestle in your hair, where twigs encourage a nearly impenetrable mat of ghostly white homunculi. Rust sends your epidermis into a scratching frenzy just beneath the fumaroles that seem to be pouting from your shoulder blades. Hugh sickly returns. He regrets that Edgar Allan Poe is no longer the proprietor. Vincent Price seems to have melted away. He apologizes to Harlan Ellison, hands you the menu, and asks that you remove your eyeballs after reading the special of the day. I have no mouth and I must scream! That's a Harlan Ellison title. World Harmony Chorus, Circle Sing, Berkeley Broadway Singers, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Breathing together as a single group takes both practice and focus. The ability to sing and blend as you listen to three other parts is crucial, critical to cooperation. Obedience to correct leadership is also essential, a factor with which our rugged individual approach often comes into conflict. Singing helps promote community and Singing helps promote community and eliminate paternalism. Christianity, as practiced in the United States, has never had a real healthy approach to sex outside of marriage. Paternalism inside marriage has made consensual sex dicey, hit or miss at best. Only when there is mutual respect do sex and marriage coexist and flourish over extended periods of time. When we reach consensus of the breath, we become as magnets locked within a spinning top. Affection is given spontaneously and is differentiated from sexual congress to which it can lead, but only with mutual consent. Love moves in orbit as a heavenly body. Other bodies gravitate toward it. The manner in which bodies then exchange energy is infinite. That was written by Felix Helix. The first one I read was, I think that was today, yeah. Sacred Ground Up. Here's what I also wrote this today, a couple more. Cold Air Call. Collecting poets. Some are firebrands that burn right through your fingers. Others smolder for years before they ignite. Still others preen and arrange feathers that mustn't be ruffled. They aren't poets at all. They think evergreen, but misunderstand deciduous. Dormant, then new growth. Your top spins silently inside. Gather, shed the skin, begin. Form you la la. Keep it short and it doesn't have to be sweet. It can be savory, abolish slavery. Here and gone again, it could be tarragon. What then? Cred on the street, discreet. Avoid all knavery. Integrate men, women. Thank you.
Integrate.
I am not going to be on the mic very long at this point because I am just going to announce that the feature of the evening is the Bay Area Poets Coalition, and there are several members in good standing. Actually, they're good sitting right now. Sorry about that. Anyway, so John Rowe, the longtime president of that organization, is also here, and he's going to introduce each of the individual poets as they come up. Now, how long has it been? Like since 75 or 72, something like that, for the thing? Yeah.
74.
1974. So it has been around a long time, doing readings, having competitions, contests, networking, helping people publish, lots and lots of things this organization does over the decades, I can say that. Anyway, so I'm going to cease, let John come up here. He's going to introduce the group and do a couple of his own, right, poems. And then we'll take care of, have the others come up here to astounding applause, and after that we'll take a break. So give John a nice, wonderful, warm round of applause.
Yeah, read and then introduce. This is John Rowe, by the way.
Hey everybody.
Hey.
Thanks a lot for having us. Dan, appreciate it. And Dan is actually a member of the APC, and I think what's great about the community is a number of the poets that are going to read tonight are regulars here at Sacred Ground. So the loyalty to the community is strong. So I appreciate that. Again, the organization started in 1974, actually in San Francisco, and moved over to the Bay, to Berkeley or East Bay in the mid 70s. And we have an ongoing open reading the first Saturday of the month, 3 to 5 p.m. at Strawberry Creek Lodge Senior Housing Building. And I can give you more information about that. But we do special events. We have an annual Live Oak Park picnic on Labor Day. We're trying to get back into the San Francisco Library for a special event, which we do periodically, so we'll keep you informed on that. We have our annual contest, which we have flyers for, open through entries to November 15th, cash prizes, and we have our Poet Talk Journal. We're working on the 2018 edition. We have back issues. I'd be happy if you took a copy, and if you want to make a donation, great, for the nonprofit. If not, if you're new to Poet Talk, take a look. We have poets throughout the country and overseas and elsewhere included in a variety of styles. So those are some of the things we do. And I guess I will go ahead and share a few short things of my own before I introduce our star readers for the evening. First of all, I wanted to do a poem for the full moon.
Yeah.
Very short.
The moon.
Full moon. Lunatic. Poetic. Luna makes poet tick. Breaking. Breaking waves, breaking plans. Once again, the heart. Breaking news, breaking bread. Once again, the day. Breaking the silence, breaking point. Breaking down, breaking up, breaking apart. Breaking together. Chasing my tail. I seem to be chasing my tail, even though I don't have a tail. I do have a tale to tell, which I will tell later, after I finish chasing my tail. The one I don't have, or maybe it's simply invisible because the scene really can't be seen. If there are any questions, don't ask me for answers. I question reality every day, and I'm still waiting for an answer. Here's one for Sacred Grounds. Autocorrect, go ahead, turn scared into sacred. I dare you. I believe in you. Up his sleeves. Do you believe that magician has nothing up his sleeves? Hard to believe. In fact, I find it easier to believe that the magician has everything up his sleeves. In fact, he does. Everything, including his arms. Sorry, I didn't mean to give it all away, so that secrets are no longer secrets, and tricks turn into something else. I think I will leave it at that for my little set. And who's first on the list, Dan?
Well, we didn't put them in order, but we have Stephanie, Clyde, Britt, and Garrett, but that wasn't, we didn't agree on that order. I just make sure I had all the names.
All right.
That's the order we go.
Well, why don't we just go with that order?
All right, that's fine by me.
It's, out of order, in order.
Out of order.
So we'll hear first from Stephanie, who I know is a long-time Sacred Grounds attendee, and she's been very supportive to the Bay Area Poets Coalition. So I'd love to hear from Stephanie Manning.
poems by John Rowe. He's one of my favorite poets. So here's a letter to my son. I will see you come in through the door. I will not recognize you, my son, my beloved son. It will fill me with fear, for each day everything will be new to me. Such a scary time, that end of life coming. I would rather die than forget you, my son. But when I do not lose heart. Everything I have taught you is still inside you. Just introduce yourself to me one more time each day. I will be so ashamed of leaving you. It is not my choice. I may appear to be my old self, but really the day will come when I am one of those transformed by virtue of plaque adhered to the brain like glue, which will enable me to forget all the decades of my life and people that I've known. Each day will be a new scary adventure, or I should say confrontation. Until that time, just this side of the final departure, when without a memory I will face what comes at me, will face who comes at me, till forgetting to breathe, to eat, to see, to know, I will follow the traditions of the ancestors and shut it down altogether, hoping to hear as the last sound the peeping of birds at dusk in my frozen bed, the lights dimming until I am no longer cold.
Wow.
And then this is a poem, this is a 3-minute poem. I write poetry on the train, and so I only had 3 minutes till the station, so this is called The Election Coming. Where is Captain Kirk, Spock, Mr. Sulu, Uhura, Chekhov, Dr. McCoy, and Scotty when we need them? We are waiting for a rescue here on the Earthship, whose orbit is dying and its habitat disintegrating. Come soon, you are our only hope. Hope is my neighbor. Hope goes away and I feed her kitty, who is black and named Haley after Haley's comet. Haley and I are friends. Hope returns. Kitty is happy. Hope goes away and I take care of Haley. Hope comes back. Hope always comes back. Someday hope will move away forever and leave us with despair and no Haley. Life will become grim. Life is grim. Just thinking about it, I think I will stop and not grieve Hope's departure twice. Life, already grim, needs solutions, and in November, I will vote for Hope to stay. She is our only hope. And Haley's comet, now that's a good one. And then this is my last one, and this is a homage to Sacred Grounds. I noticed a lot of people have made homages to Sacred Grounds, and this is mine. When I get there, the cafe is empty like my stomach, but quickly fills with delicious food prepared and assembled by Chef Teddy, who keeps the place running. Sacred Grounds, or Grounds, as Steve Mackin used to say, that guy up there on the left, persists through the decades of many different owners during the school year and the dry days of summer. We poets, lucky to have this space during literary times up to 2013, when so many old poets died, and on into the mystery days of unknown quantities coming through that door, with more chips on shoulders and unaddressed rage than the previous literary days. It is hard to know just how long this will continue once the older guys and gals are gone. Big money is tickling at the elbows of every neighborhood in San Francisco. What will happen to City Lights, to Sacred Grounds, to Cafe Trieste, to La Promenade? New ways will be found. Ask the Ouija board in your handheld devices. Remedies of art and nature and performance may evolve into something unrecognizable by us old poets. How can we sneak some poetry into the future beyond our lives?
some Aristophanes, Shakespeare, Yeats, Dylan Thomas, and Langston Hughes into their diet of online chatter. We better hire a Russian hacker to implant the idea of poetry and poetry readings onto the social media and into computer games. Poetry is, after all, worth fighting for.
Thank you, Stephanie. That was beautiful. Yeah. I'm gonna be thinking about that, how we can sneak poetry into the future beyond our lives. It's great. I did want to say, we did have one other reader that was scheduled, Denise Collette from Alameda. She's actually never been to Sacred Grounds. Fortunately, she got hit with a cold and wasn't quite up for it, so hopefully I'll bring her back another time. All right. Dan, Brady, who do we have next
We
there?
have Mr. Clyde Always.
Okay.
He's called that because his name is Clyde.
Well, y'all know Clyde Always.
Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, come on and step right up close. One of the radicals up off front row seat before they go on, they're going fast. Hell, you want to miss this? Now it's time for another exciting installment of the Clyde Always Show with me, your always clever, always handsome, always charming host, Clyde Always. And no, I ain't no common carnival barker. I am the Bard of Hate. Thank you. And this is an address to a cheeseburger. Oh, steaming puck of juicy meat, whose waft and scent itself a treat. In winter's chill or summer's heat, we dainty daughters, ragged sons, burly dudes and chicks petite do long to squeeze your spongy buns. What rugged rancher bred this steer? What rabbi blessed this pickle spear? What garden grew such lettuce clear? What baker raised your crown of gloss? What milkmaid made your cheddar cheer? What wizard whisked your special sauce? Stacked tall you are and standing there like Sears Tower in the air. Takes all my teeth your frame to tear. And scoff we now at Johnstown flood is from your heart so rich and rare. Explodes a spurt of greasy blood. Let Englishmen eat mushy peas. Give sushi to the Japanese. Let Frenchies gnaw on froggy knees. Let Saudis keep halal all day. Let pygmies munch termites and bees. Let all the vegans waste away. We crumple now in beefy blisses. Forks and knives we just dismiss. Our dripping fists we lick and kiss. May all those deem us savage, crude. Americans agree on this. You, burger, are the perfect food. Thank you. Now, for the past 6 years or so, my friends and fans have been forever asking me, who is this Clyde Always? Where did he come from and what's he doing here? They want to know, what's your story, Clyde? Well, after much deliberation, I have decided to reveal all and to hold nothing else back in this, an 8-part autobiographical account which I've entitled The Clyde Always Saga. This is part 3. So back in 1904, yeah, you heard correct, 1904. When I was 18 years old, I just got a shit can from my job at the vaudeville show, and I wound up falling in with one hell of a rough dame, and her name was Brady Shoemaker, and Brady was well endowed. And to illustrate my point, allow me to relay the brief anecdote that there was one time Brady and I, we were walking across a crowded carnival ground, packed shoulder to shoulder, when all of a sudden, as a spectacle, two plump and pointy, low-flying zeppelins passed right overhead, and nobody even looked up. But look, Birdie was crooked to say the least. In fact, as soon as she realized my talent for orating, she wham, knocked me out with a rolling pin, and when I came to, I was on a snake oil cart in the middle of Kia Cup, and I was wearing a suit of clothes she dug up, stolen them off a dead man. So we pulled the odd confidence job those first few months together, mostly just tricking a bunch of gullible yahoos out of the last few nickels they had left jangling in their pockets, which was all innocent enough, until Birdie got a little greedy. Next thing I knew, we were knocking over a savings and loan, which didn't go all that swell neither, seeing as how during the getaway I wound up taking a barrel full of bird shot straight to the butt cheek. And then, before I had time to heal, before I could even sit down, well, we were pulling bigger jobs. We were heisting trains and burgling jewels and kidnapping the children of millionaires for hefty ransoms. And I know that all sounds pretty goddamn dastardly, and I'll admit it was dastardly, but all I can say in my defense is that it was all Birdie's idea. All of it. And when you're 18, guys, back me up, when you're 18 years old, it's a little hard to formulate a cohesive argument when you're constantly confronted with the sight of gigantic bazooms. Meanwhile, too, Birdie always insisted on handling the loot. She said she was investing it in the stock market, and that it ought to be paying out some dividends one of these days. I sure as hell never saw any goddamn dividends. In fact, the only red cent of that money I ever laid hands on was on one hot day I'll never forget. And Birdie and I, we were laying low in the hideout, and she reaches down into her cleavage and pulls out a sweaty greenback, and she shoves it at me, and she tells me to run on down to town to get her an ice cream cone, to bring it back all lickety-split, or else she's gonna give me a slap in the kisser. So I say, yeah, Miss Birdie, man. So I scoot down to town as quick as I can, and you can imagine my surprise when I step out of that general store, and what do I see but the sheriff and the deputy's 5-year-old son, and all three of them got two fistfuls of six-shooter pointing right in my face. And oh no, God, I'll never forget it. The deputy's kid, he said, and this is exactly what he said, reach for the sky! Yeah, I dropped those ice cream cones and I reached, you know. And the sheriff, they shackle me and they cuff me, and they lead me down through Main Street, and all the townsfolk come out, they cross their arms like that, and they shake their heads, and they go tisk, tisk, tisk. And the sheriff, he asked me, he says, you is Clyde Always, isn't you? And I said, well, to answer your most beautifully articulated question, Mr. Sheriff, sir, in fact, is. He said, well, I'm not sure if you knew this, Mr. Smart Aleck, but there's a bounty on your head, $10,000. Done got collected just this morning by one Miss Birdie Shoemaker. And you know what happens next, don't you, Clyde Always? And I said, well, I can guess. And he said, yeah, you guess right. We taking you down to the gallows, Clyde Always. Oh, you going for a little swing? Swing today, Clyde Always. We gonna hang. And the exciting continuation of the Clyde Always saga will be heard next Wednesday, everybody.
Thank you, Clyde Always. You are everywhere. And I wanted to point out the Clyde Always artwork is on last year's Talk Talk. And he has some poems in here as well. So check it out and get him to autograph a copy for you. All right, so next up we have, from my side of the bay, East Bay, we have Britt Peter, who's on the regular here.
Wisdom keeper. That's a good one. Bach and Duende, 1956. We played Bach every day that summer, the failed violinist and the willing youngster. Two bows, the black notes, the smell of rosin. Before I went off to school, a silly boy, wrapped in ivy to study Schumpeter and Glotz. You want a definition of Duende? It rides within 3 notes, a breath, a sigh, an echo, the slow movement of Bach's double concerto. Bach on a Sunday morning. Not the unrelenting Bach machine, but Adolf Busch's archaic band. Bach sweet as kernels on a cob of corn, leaves on a gilded branch in a Baroque theater. Bach on a Sunday morning, easy to take, with waffles and sour cream. Now instead of Bach light, Bach heavy, and that's not a spring brew. A frantic wind, music, war, YouTube. News brought into the home, away from one more war, told this. The clown and the mad dog at work, John Bolton as Iago, the falling buildings, the lethal engagements. They are fighting like they have never fought before. Only I can do this. I love war. All done in our name, as guilty as any nation. Ask the children under the rocks. Hear the beseeching fathers. See the mothers in rags. See the faces against the fence and in cages. And on YouTube, the emphatic fiddler speaks of Heifetz and the abyss. Ivry Gitless, a hidden Zodic, so old that he says what he wants, gathers the audience's attention. I'll do the Bach. I'll go to the edge. It's in my soul. It's in my contract. The cliffs of Bach's Chaconne, the insistent variations, the harsh chords, the worker's smock, the devil's fiddle, these forces, these craggy landscapes, these moving scenes, a convergence in a worried mind. The listener cannot be still. The interior imposition of war scenes, they are from Abel Gance's J'accuse, the monumental tower, the graves opening up, and we have it there on YouTube scans. The wars have us. The Chaconne has us. Ivry says, I'll finish this. The crab's claw, its sustained hold, the repeated wars, the ghosts are marching again. The sonorous voices of Gans and Bach rise above the staff, flow through the frames, moving. The old films play again. Smoking light from the projection room, all before our eyes, a visual and sonic understanding. Can you feel the ghosts moving through you? The pulling, the many wars, the undertow, the resonant storms, the propelled sound in the Chaconne, the drone of the last note. From stone to gray transparent flesh, war ghosts are passing through the countryside.
Thank you, Big Peter. And Garrett's next.
Thank you, Britt. And now we'd like to hear from our favorite political satirist and human nature satirist, Garrett Murphy.
Garrett Murphy. The mighty Garrett Murphy.
Not George Carlin's 7 dirty words. Fetus, entitlement, diversity, transgender, vulnerable, evidence-based, science-based.
Yeah.
What? No buzz? Where's the beeper? The shop. Anything? Was there not supposed to be some sort of catastrophe? Some earth-shattering cataclysm? But all that can be heard is some faint infinite, feeble-minded hissy fit from a most minuscule gallery which one would not dare offend peanuts by naming it in their honor. Perhaps if they had chosen a few slurs instead. A hat for Melania. Dreadful, she wails, much ado about a pit hat. Ugly, she claims I'm the most bullied one. Nice, though, she knows I'm being granted a new one. Comfort, it fits as though made just for her. Easy to do with first character of each line. The species you wish would become extinct. No, the Apius vulgaris. No, it's not what you think it is. It's not the type you find in trees or with long prehensile tails, and you won't find any fur to cover its body, rather clothing just like yours or mine. And its chant is far worse than any of those in the wild or even at the zoo. And if any of them eat bananas, you can be sure to find the peelings all over the wrong places. But the most distinguishing trait of the Apius vulgaris is their utter inability to shoot straight when it comes to trash cans or even their own bathrooms. Which is why, no matter where you go or where you walk, you always have to watch out for, along with the usual feces, the residue of the Apius vulgaris phlegm, or is it remnants of a leaky brain? Mario Woods has his day. The San Francisco Police Officers Association, in a recent public performance concerning the execution of one Mario Woods, displayed solidarity and unusual petulance even after being given a chance to go first when the supporters of Woods were listening. As soon as POA was done whimpering about how so few of the populace would give them accolades for killing yet another man of color, not to mention a proposed Board of Supervisors bill honoring a day for Mario Woods, SS supposed finest walks off in a huff, but not before threatening the soups with all kinds of damnation. That warning did accomplish one thing, a most pleasant surprise. It united the soups into acting as one, namely to make that day for our Mr. Woods the no-pun law in the land. In a futile attempt to save the performance, the POA whales enough waterworks to empty Hetchetchy about what about the officers who die in the line of duty. Someone neglected to tell the POA leadership that many officers do have various days, overpasses, intercessions, and others named for them for dying in the line of duty. Now it's long overdue for someone to be honored who happened to die in the line of misduty. And it's just in, infantry and babies, including the crybabies, are considering joining forces to sue the SFPOA for the defaming impersonation of their characters.
Oh.
The sinking tower of rhymes with Crisco. Like present-day imitators of Yodo the Turtle, the city parents and developers did it this time. All they really had to do was to simply build a new transit center, but of course, who do we think we are? Anyone can build a simple transit center, but we're SNF, the city that really knows how. There's nothing going higher than we. We'll build us a transit center capped by a building that'll really help to build us up to the stars. So they build up and build up and build up some more, and behold, that tower was built. A marvel of the ages. But what's that odd sound, that sinking sound? Not quite the perfect sound of a mech, but equally ominous. A gasp roars out, and it's plainly clear that that tower has begun to sink like portals into the earth. Those developers might have dared to rise to the stars, but it appears they may really sink to the fallen stars. They really should have known that the bill of on sand, soft enough to go through hourglasses, sole source of hubris of city leaders and builders. But you can never keep a big ego down for long. Hey, look on the bright side. At least we done Italy a few better. They just have a leaning tower of Pisa, but we have, ladies and gentlemen, the sinking tower of, oh, well, you know. Marathon life. Marathon dance, marathon dance, marathon, marathon, marathon dance. Dance good folks till the end of it. Dance good fools till the end of you. This dance done started before you knew it. Your turns has just been programmed to you. Yes, you're programmed to a cassette mo. Obedient you are to your chosen role. Marathon dance, marathon dance, marathon, marathon, marathon dance. Dance good folks till the end of it. Dance good fools to the end of you. You may remember those ones of old, they went on till they could not go, but is that not what the PDB wants, to milk you till the milk runs dry? Marathon dance, marathon dance, marathon, marathon, marathon dance. Dance good folks till the end of it. Dance good fools till the end of you. The light goes on, your clock keeps ticking, but the boss starts defying the strongest will. One falls, two falls, more falls still, and you then learn what marathon means. Marathon dance, marathon dance, marathon, marathon, marathon dance. Dance good folks till the end of it. Dance good fools till the end of you. Unless you're quite prepared to die, you must soul search and inquire of you. Is that all there is? Then no, it is not. Break away and a monkey wrench knocks fate out. Marathon dance, marathon dance, marathon, marathon, marathon dance. Dance good folks till the end of it. Bust loose now, it's the start of you. Thank you, Nuts. Thank you, Nuts. We thank you for tormenting us, for calling us names, for harassing and profiling us, for assaulting us with your slaps, your fist, your weaponry, your spittle, and for shouting obscenities and slurs in our faces. We thank you for your collective punishment, for your destroying our property, our loved ones, our very own lives, and please accept our thanks to you for your attempts to destroy our self-esteem and pride. You've done us a tremendous service we shall not soon forget, and should you truly believe any of the above, then you, pseudo-sirs and madams, are truly no more than just another perpetrator. Thank you.
Thank you, Garrett Murphy. So we're going to take a quick break, just to let you know. These things are here to be taken by anybody who wants them, and talk to John about these. These will also be available when we do the evenings door prizes, of which we have a table out here. So we set this clock. This thing will be turned around to face the wall, so you can talk amongst yourselves without fear of being alerted to the authorities and powers that be, such as it might be. All right, talk amongst yourselves. Woo!
Here, I'm going to switch this so it's like it's going to face that wall over there.
But it stays on?
Yeah, it stays on because if you turn it off, then you have to go through the whole process of setting it all up again. That's the way this system is. I put you on. Huh? I put your hand is right in here. Huh? You have a special. I put you on.
Oh, yeah, we do some talking on the bus.
I'm okay. I worked today, and today's been a long day. I fell asleep in the classroom, except it was now. So I was like, and one of the kids is, Mr. Brady, get up. That's right. No, it's a special class. They have their, it's called, it's really the more quiet time of the day when they're not moving around and the lights are off.
Nice.
Warriors are leading 66-59.
Did you? I saw you came and sat down. What I was doing was shooting B-roll.
Documentary. I was getting an outside shot. They have it at nighttime where the lights are on.
Well, you can read if you want, you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
No pressure.
Well, I looked around and the only people well, I just make a hard copy.
You and you.
I got my stuff moved off the sewing table. No, I had a week there,
and a day there, and a day, like, the last 2 weeks, so yesterday's day was, right again, the last day. And the teacher likes to. My favorite story of weird stories was about 4 years ago. There were scientists who were recording these vents of methane gas, tundra, and various areas. And these vents, thank God they were like a meter in diameter. Oh my God. Come on. And they go, well, there's a few here. And you? What? And how much is this vent? He said, a lot.
Can't get that to somebody here. He's decided to say 80 years old. Just like what I did I never had one.
It's essentially good food and good culture since 1972. Quarter of Colgate, so San Francisco Film Festival, hundreds of people will show up, like, or at least will become aware that there's something happening. So that's kind of the idea. Plus, it's where we go. I don't think there's an event for the sake of that. That's how I keep here.
There it is. What? You're buying gumbo? Just don't shoot it. Will you get credit? Will you get some money? You're the one who gets sued. Oh, that's right. There you go. That's right. You're on the list. Oh, yeah. Talk to him. He can be found in public. Officer, that's the guy. He can be found in public. You know where he shows up. So there's a little bit of that.
I'm so excited.
Well, the whole thing takes 15 minutes. I owe this to your wife. She gave me like $5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And I haven't been back.
There it is.
I happen to be here because doing something else. I was already in town, other things.
I'm going to put this over here.
No, I'm sorry.
No, I will do that, and I will put it this way so it won't be damaged.
They wouldn't say what it was. Oh, no. She's actually going to.
There's so many traffic jam, and they said it was due to this private function that was happening in the ballpark.
Well, you want to start?
Absolutely.
All right, so then, if you can turn this way.
Out of the blue, from out of nowhere.
I don't know the rest of the song.
Your bingle. It's your bingle.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. And what about that big local story? Well, the comet has done the digging, and now Daredevil Rebus Canibus will do the jumping tomorrow, weather and authorities permitting. That's a quote. I didn't make it up. Anyway, we're going to start. Who's the first? Who's
The discursive writer.
Oh, the discursive writer is here. He is the person kicking off the final word. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Give a round of applause for Mr. Richard Sanderell, who doesn't realize I've been talking about him for like 15,000 years. Anyway.
I did. I thought John McCain sang that song. It's not mine.
Well, hi, Sharon. Well, hello. Sharon Kish, everybody. This
Sharon Scott Kish, if you like to want to know the difference.
right there as well.
Turn around, we're kicking off the second half. Woohoo! Pardon my French.
All right. That was French?
That's Belgian. Close enough for
Well, of course, now everything's going to
Then we got Hal and Christian and Rob.
Not to my politicians.
Thank you.
Really? Stop fucking with other countries. No, I'm not talking to politicians. I'm talking to you, citizens of the Empire USA. Politicians ignore us in almost all things when it comes to our welfare. Native people first to experience these great white fathers' wisdoms of destruction. We are no longer their bosses, they boss us. We are the new Indian, don't even know it.
Yeah.
Most say something, when they do it's dribble, verbal masturbation. I want mine, fuck the rest of you. Yes, we will hang separately. No, there is really no love for your neighbor, just more religious, political, jealous rhetoric, meaning nothing, spoken or written. When voices raised, politicians, governments, officials ignore you. There are those who say they love their children. I don't believe you. Your wisdom, for all our knowledge, is still in its infancy, along with our maturity. There are those who say they aren't racist, then speak in racist tongues. There are those who believe it is the Lord's hand, it's all in the Lord's hands, when it's always been in chaoses, never really in ours, as much as we believe. Thank you. That's the best one I ever got. Hello, is anybody listening?
Yeah, I am.
No, really. No, really, listen. It's just background noise for most. Nothing to be done. Continues as if there is a future. Future indeed is ahead. What kind, how long seems bleaker daily. Oh, bless or fuck those souls who say, I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm staying positive. Why not? There's nothing to lose when things are already lost. There are those who let things slide from them, do nothing to change as it piles up on the switch that is about ready to flip. Like a man addicted to cigarettes, only last a couple of minutes before smoking another does nothing to fight addiction. You fight none of the urges that destroy what we hold to be beauty. Twitter, Google, Yahoo, Facebook are all white men with a few women who think they will continue to rule the world. Chekhov was right when he tells the ruling classes to shut up, because they'll never listen when they believe to be so right. Many rush to work for those new gods, these great white fathers, because we do whore ourselves after the highest bidders, who still pay you wage slaves just enough to keep you afloat, no more. Techie wage slaves will be the next to fall. What will we allow ourselves to whore ourselves after next? No offense to whores, at least they're honest, since they live outside the law. And finally, Mai Tais. Mai Tais are my little red Corvette if I'm having any crisis. My city died a long time ago, became lame as the rest of USA. Some are just in denial. We dress in drab colors not to be seen, may become a target. Remember when it was fun to dress up? In our minds, full revolution. When we grew up, we knew our parents' history. Today, not so much, nor do they care. You'll die alone, caring only about yourselves, because that's all most give a damn about. We've become mediocre in art, life. What you present sucks as they do when empires fall. Underneath the skin, there are veins still pulsing in real life versus virtual on streets, open mics, bookstores, stages, jazz Sundays. Thin crescent moon ready to slice and dice if needed to, Mars dominant planet in sky. Man in street, his stage performance on demand command. Skateboarder walks his skateboard as strangers walk by, noticing nothing. Man begins to strut like Jagger, only he has something to say, emphasizing, pointing to his audience before him. Wearing my tie, swirling in colors, I'm ready for my acid flashback close-up.
Thank you, Samuel. We'll be back to close out the show.
Up next, we have Hal, MD, PhD, AEIOU.
ADHD, SPCA, EMDR.
AIEIOO, no. My excerpt is 5 minutes, actually ends in the 5th minute. On the subject of rebellion, I'm just going to start the famous poem Paradise Lost and go for 5. Of man's first disobedience and the fruit of that forbidden tree, whose mortal taste brought death into the world and all our woe, with loss of Eden, till one greater man restore us and regain the blissful seat. Sing, heavenly muse, that on the secret top of Oreb or of Sinai didst inspire that shepherd who first taught the chosen seed in the beginning how the heavens and earth rose out of chaos. Or if Sion hill delight thee more, and Siloa's brook that flowed fast by the oracle of God, I thence invoke thy aid to my adventurous song, that with no middle flight intends to soar above the Aeonian mount, while it pursues things unattempted yet in prose or rhyme. And chiefly thou, O Spirit, who dost prefer before all temples the upright heart and pure, instruct me, for thou knowest, thou from the first wast present, and with mighty wings outspread, dove-like satst brooding on the vast abyss, and madest it pregnant. What
is dark in me illumine, what is low raise and support, that to the height of this great argument I may assert eternal providence, and justify the ways of God to men. Say first, for heaven hides nothing from thy view, nor the deep tract of hell. Say first, what cause moved our grand parents in that happy state favored of heaven so highly to fall off from their Creator and transgress his will for one restraint, lords of the world besides, who first seduced them to that foul revolt? The infernal serpent. He it was whose guile, stirred up with envy and revenge, deceived the mother of mankind. What time his pride had cast him out from heaven, with all his host of rebel angels, by whose aid aspiring to set himself in glory above his peers, he trusted to have equaled the Most High if he opposed, and with ambitious aim against the throne and monarchy of God, raised impious war in heaven, and battle proud with vain attempt. Him the almighty power hurled headlong, flaming from the ethereal sky, with hideous ruin and combustion down to bottomless perdition, there to dwell in adamantine chains and penal fire, who durst defy the omnipotent to arms. 9 times the space that measures day from night to mortal men, he and his horrid crew lay vanquished, roiling in the fiery gulf, confounded though immortal. But his doom reserved him more to wrath, for now the thought both of lost happiness and lasting pain torments him. Round he throws his baleful eyes, that witnessed huge affliction and dismay, mixed with obdurate pride and steadfast hate. At once, as far as angels ken, he views the dismal situation, waste and wild, a dungeon horrible, on all sides round as one great furnace flamed, yet from those flames no light, but rather darkness visible, served only to discover sights of woe, regions of sorrow, doleful shades where peace and rest can never dwell. Hope never comes that comes to all, but torture without end still urges, and a fiery deluge fed with ever-burning sulfur unconsumed. Such place eternal justice had prepared for those rebellious. There their prison ordained in utter darkness, and their portion set as far removed from God and light of heaven as from the center thrice to the utmost pole. Oh, how unlike the place from whence he fell.
Up next, Christian.
Yeah.
You're in 2. 2 more.
Yeah, there's Christian and then Rob and then Sharon. Where's Christian? I thought I saw him here.
He's here. Christian.
Maybe he's in the bathroom.
Well, let's go to, that will take us to you.
So we'll do Rob and then Christian comes back, we'll do Christian, and then after whoever's next, we'll take care of everybody.
What could be more rebellious than an outlaw? I was chagrined a few weeks ago to discover that I had never heard of California's most infamous bandit, and I read his story, and I'm always hesitant to write a story or song about a male hero, but the details of this particular life were too irresistible. This is called Black Bart the Poet. Bart went off to the gold rush in 1849, but his brothers both died and empty was the mine. He said, chasing gold's for fools, I'm done playing by the rules. He's Black Bart the bandit, he'll take that precious cargo. He's Black Bart the poet, and he's coming for you, Wells Fargo. Bart shacked up and had 4 kids in 6 years, but parenthood left him aching and in tears. He said, marriage is for fools, I'm done playing by the rules. He's Black Bart the bandit, he'll look in the eye and dare ya. He's Black Bart the poet, and he's coming for you, Bank of America. Bart went off to fight the Confederacy. He burned Atlanta and got shot near mortally. He said, killing is for fools, I'm done playing by the rules. He's Black Bart the poet, he'll put you in your place. He's Black Bart the bandit, and he's coming for you, Chase. He went to California and started robbing stages, and just like that, he was an outlaw for the ages. He targeted bank money because they treated him like spit. He hated banks, they got rich for doing shit. He didn't have a horse and he never fired his gun. He didn't have a gang, he trusted no one. He never ever swore, he was genteel and polite. And he always left a poem as he walked off into the night. And this is an actual Bart poem. I've labored long for and hard for bread, for honor and for riches. But on my corns too long you've tread, you fine-haired sons of bitches. Wells Fargo finally got him, and they tossed him right in jail. And nobody knows if that was the end of his tale. He disappeared when freed from incarceration inferno. Maybe he went to Frisco to start a poetry journal. He's Black Bart the bandit, his work is not yet done. He's Black Bart the poet, and he's coming for you, Capital One.
Yeah, we got him. So he'll be up next.
Okay.
All right. Oh, you're done? Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm done.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were rearranging. Give Christian a round of applause. And then we got Sharon King, our Minnie of the evening, Nicole, Shem, and the Sonderell. Unless, of course, there's somebody else that I've missed. So we'll take care of that in due course. Oh, you are okay? You were in the first half. I thought I missed you. Missed something? He's getting ready. Okay, there we go. There we go. Give him a round, please. Welcome him up. And get really close to the mic so they can hear you.
This poem is dedicated to Baron Corvo, also known as Frederick Rolfe. Hadrian VIII, Doge, vintage Venetian capo, more spoiled than his father, who was the English Pope in 1900 BC, who regaled the Vatican with its pipeline to the British Empire. Doge in waiting married off to the ultra-nubile daughter of the bones confident courtesan, of whom it was said that when she smiled, every cavalier in the Piazza San Marco would ignite. To hell with knights. Eve Novello versus Maria Novella. A chess match that may never end. He is the pagan she had vowed to win over to Christ. She is the virgin whose chastity he hopes to conquer. She has captured his queen, and he has been hounding her king. Because he's on a Satan-granted furlough, and she's AWOL from heaven, neither has a key to the room where they have been playing. Through constant intrusions and myriad distractions, the adversaries, in their torrid, arousal-rooted dread the ultimate stalemate, which could only transpire in hell. Go diva. What less could be expected from the wildest of women, mounted bareback on gray steed galloping from WKBW to KWMR, tramples what has been to what whiz wanton awakening from the visceral dream leaking.
Thank you, Christine. And now, mini feature of the evening, the lovely and enchanting, talented, brave, thrifty, clean, and reverend Sheriff Scott Chris. Lady is back for the 20 days of yesteryear, as we like to call it, in Kansas City.
Can you move the microphone stand closer to this? That's how we can frame her not more.
How's that?
More nice.
That way a little.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
How's that?
That's good. That way, when she gets up there, we'll see every little thing.
Good for you?
That's good. Is it good for you?
Wow.
Is it good for you?
This is from I Could Chew on This. And it's called I've Been Watching. Maybe you should shift to your left. Maybe you should move your knee. Maybe you should slow a little. Maybe you should stay there a little longer. Maybe you should try talking this once. Maybe you should never say that again. Maybe you should play dress up. Maybe you don't know how to act like a pirate. Maybe you don't want my advice. Maybe this is not the time or place. But I've been watching you two every night for the past 6 years, so maybe I know a little something about making love. And this is from the African American wisdom, and it's from Shirley Chisholm. Tremendous amounts of talent are being lost in our society because the talent wears a skirt. And this is from Hazel Scott. Any woman who has a great deal to offer in this world is in trouble, and if she's in black, she's in deep trouble. Okay, so this one's called Torn in Half. Uncle Buster and his cousin Gene, who lived in Denver. Uncle Buster lived in Kansas City with my mother's sister, Marjorie. So, Gene was always well dressed. In fact, that's the one thing he really took pride in. Usually once a year, Aunt Marge and Uncle Buster would visit him in Denver. Twofold visit. They'd visit my mother and stepfather, and they'd visit him. Sometimes they'd take a train, they'd stop overnight in Kit Carson and visit Uncle Buster's father, who was Gene's uncle. They would come to Denver, and we would have a ball. The ball would include going everywhere. Pikes Peak, Colorado Springs, Garden of the Gods, and we would have fun. So one summer, they came, and what we did was we went everywhere. We went to City Park, watched the lights go up, watched the lights in the water, listened to the lions roar. It gets cold in Denver at night, and on a quiet night, you can hear the lions over at City Park. Loved it. So we decided we would take Gene to Lakeside. There's 2 amusement parks in Denver. Elitch's, which is very fancy, with a bandstand and dancing. and his lakeside that had all the rides, and it was gorgeous. Sometimes Gene would go with us, but he always held everybody's purse, held everybody's hat. He never did the rides because Gene was meticulous. He always looked the same way he left the house. Occasionally he'd have a chili dog. You could never tell. Me, it was all down in front of him. My father, it was all over his mustache. So there, one summer, we decided, let's get Gene to ride the roller coaster. He's not too sure about this. Come on, Gene, ride the roller coaster with us once. So Gene rides the roller coaster with us. And he comes down, and we go up, and we go down. Finally, it's time to get off. And we get off the roller coaster, and we look, and Uncle Buster is laughing, and Margie has tears rolling down her face. My grandmother is giggling, and I look, and Gene has torn his hat in half.
Thank you so much. Now we have Nicole before Shem, and then the Sandarelle.
Oh, Martin.
Oh, he decided he wasn't going to.
Oh, okay.
I thought I was out.
No, you're the.
I'm just
Okay.
playing.
Yeah, you're fine. You're good. You just.
My brain is
Stand.
leaking.
I thought we had a stand here.
That's what they call it now.
Yeah.
There you go. Just step a little closer into it so you're good. There you go. You're
We
perfect.
can pull the table up and put it on there and sit.
All right, I have some back problems.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll make arrangements here.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Is that good?
Yes, thank you.
All right. And we're just tuning up.
What's his name again?
This is Nicole.
Nicole.
Testing, testing. Is this thing on?
Oh, hold on.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, wait a minute.
I
Oh,
don't
the
need- I
plug
don't need
came
it.
out.
I
The
don't
plug
need it.
came out. Might have come out over there.
Sorry.
That's okay.
No.
Now we'll just make sure.
Testing. I don't need it. It's okay.
No.
Testing,
Well, I'm,
testing.
oh, there it is. There it is.
Testing.
Yeah, it'll come up. It'll come up. It's on now. Yeah, don't you?
Testing.
There you go. We got it. It wasn't the plug in the wall. It was the plug in this thing.
You got an A plus.
So I had to write this poem. It's uncomfortable for me and will probably be uncomfortable for some of you if you're even listening.
We're listening.
He came on too strong, lured the young into his bed, a desperate salesman, insistent, persistent, but something else was wrong. I know he grabbed you by your, then forced you to bend over, claimed under oath it was mutual consent that you were just lovers. I know he's to blame, but something else wicked still hovers over a silent female jury, sitting, listening, not doing a goddamn thing. And I'm not referring to court juries. I mean female colleagues, friends, and mothers, the women who should worry. Strangely, they didn't. They couldn't care less. So don't just blame the men. These women are part of the mess. These women were never on your side, praying secretly you'd fall like hungry wild cats, watching you slide deep, deep down, because only one girl gets to wear the crown. She has this look in her eye, relishing in your demise, relishing you drown in shame that wasn't yours, in hate that wasn't yours, in pain that wasn't yours. And now you're stuck between violent memory walls. So what do you do with women like that, who stick a sharp, jagged knife into your back, pulling it down all the way with their right hand, expecting your crown to land in their left palm? Mirror, mirror, who's the fairest of all? So castrate those men, lock them up, tear them down, those sick fucks. But don't forget, they all had mothers. It's not just the men to blame. not just our brothers.
Thank you so much. All right. And now, Shem is next, and Antoinette, I put you on. Are you gonna? Okay, all right. Thank you.
You got something to say?
All right, and Shem,
Okay, this is
around us, he's up here, and then, Antoinette.
This is something that I've done here more than once, but it feels the most rebellious. My simulacra do not fit inside your letterboxes. My emoticons do not reflect your pixelations. My unhinged front doors skulk around the edges of your banquet hall campaign dinners. My forest floor mycelia often appear bemused by your chewing gum stained sidewalks. My earthworms thrash about in your cracked concrete rain puddles. My good hair, when oiled up and shining, sublimates your disdainful glances. My itinerant amalgamations interpolate your purposefully designed algorithms. My inner crunchy Beavis feels simultaneously repulsed by and drawn to your outer creamy butthead. My market-driven cycles of therapeutic release get tripped up at every turn by your swarms of deep data-driven drone hordes, 3D nanoprinting endless piles of neo-Freudian desires every time I risk it and step out from under the protective shield of my inner sanctum. My adverse childhood experience survival maps pair exquisitely with your trauma-triggered psychotic interludes. My heart dreams, clouded over by probable coronary artery bypass surgeries, ache for your laparoscopically removed gallbladder insights. My inner sense of nothingness, smelling of ozone and tobacco, desperately needs a hug from your indignant sense of self-righteousness, oozing red wine, rage, and heat rising in waves. I give it a good practice throw, and my kidney stone skips 19 times across to the farther shore of your steaming pool of bile. My awkward approximations of antiquated analog interfaces are not quite capable of successfully coupling with your carefully crafted drop-down menus of indefinitely recombinable mood textures, but the resultant ripples of distortion and static can sometimes be surprisingly genuine. My melancholy personifications of condemned 20th century brick tenements harsh the swoony buzz of your anthropomorphized ant colony high-rise micro-apartment complex with incredible walk score aspirations. My rootless cosmopolitan nonchalance unnerves your hard-fought provincial sense of well-rootedness. The fanning cracks in the corners of my rose-colored sunglasses reveal infinitely recurring fractals of your harsh realities, and like a cunning linguist caught in somebody else's glass bead game, I revel in the gratuitous pleasures of submerging myself in the staccato rhythms of a crumbling empire's lingua franca, steeped in the street creoles of creative resistance at the bottoms of the turtle stacks. I talk my smack, drink my coffee black, no cream, no sugar, just put a little bit of cinnamon in it, or maybe lace me up with some of that Similac.
Yeah. All right. And Antoinette just came in, so we put her on the list here. I'm gonna pass this around so people can take samples of it. We have Vita's going one later, so please take one. And if you come and get a prize, they're also in these things here. So Antoinette. Oh,
No, I'm just
He's
adjusting
getting
the mic for
the
you.
mic ready for you. I didn't. Thank you, Shannon. Give her another round. Give her a round as she comes up.
It's been one of those get it done at the last minute one of days.
Thank
So
you.
Here I am at the last minute. So, soaring fast, flooding, solid blue, white, streaming chemtrails follow 4 blackbirds high in formation. North Beach celebrates Columbus Day in justice to indigenous then and now. Italian girls shake back long dark hair, sassy sway red skirts. People, grandparents, children, lovers gather for sunny car show, wait for mass shooter to arrive. St. Stephen's Basilica doors open wide. He sits close by eating cannoli on green bench with girl. Salvation of the world depends on him. Greeks and Italians think they are all God's gift, but we all are. Words come easy, the 3 we say. Passion resides in me, catapulted by you. Resigned to receive, your warm hand rests on my side ribs, waist, or hip. Acceptance of yourself enjoyed transfers over, bringing parts disdained alive, buried face and belly, waiting to be closer. Who can say if this is real, our declaration, or perhaps a need to join with another?
Yeah.
And this one I did last week, but I want to do it again. So.
All right, good.
It's fat girl wears hats of illusion, compromised burden belonging to can't ride bike, wears shorts, eat in front of people. No dancing either. Compulsive addictions rule hungry heart where worldly wealth like wet blanket smolders fire within. Can't live, can't love, disaffection at every turn, persecuted with prejudice. Fat girl's isolation spirals to her best friend, sugar-laden, deep-fried, fosters freeze where she does not know, clerk judges not, baker's dozen taken home for friends to stuff crevices caused by neglect. Fat girls wear solitary verve without judgments, expectations, never more lies. Presence, acceptance of self is real. She is dismissed beneath her fair, slim, beautiful. Fat girls stamp strong, seen worthy of love.
Richard Sanderell. Oh, Richard Sanderell. Close us out, please. Let me take care of these prizes. Everybody can go home. We got more prizes up here tonight than we had any other 3 weeks we've ever had in our entire existence. I'm stopping.
Those microphones.
I wasn't even ahead anymore.
I always had trouble with Mike. He was a bully to me all the time. Oh, hi, Rob.
Hello,
How are you?
Richard.
It's Rob, everybody. All right. Stop smiling. This isn't funny. All right. USA and its politicians. We think all humans are Indians. Its politicians rape lies, resources, handing over trillions to USA's vile, revolting children, secret unidentified corporations of human misery. Yes, don't we live in exciting times? We get to see the results of all that came before. Things don't look pretty for the future. Maybe that's why many try to work the pretty. Maybe. If pretty is as pretty does, then it should be pretty pretty. As in USA's politicians, lawyers have stolen everything that's yours by privatizing it, turned your government on its head, and no one noticed. Just ask Navy people, USA's first genocide, how that feels. They've always known if USA could do that to them, they could do it to you as well. Amen. We are not only guilty of past, but of what we are today. Solidarity is growing, poverty rights reform will soon be becoming out into the world, joining the seventh generation in struggle of our survival. Leave these politicians in the dirt. We take and make our own destiny, unless you want freedom from choice rather than freedom of choice. Destroyer of worlds. Robert Oppenheimer, considered father of the atomic bomb, quotes Bhagavad Gita, "Now I have become death, destroyer of worlds." Now, I must say, Mr. Oppenheimer, you're not the only one who's destroyed our worlds. You can't lay claim to that alone. Einstein, reflecting, had he known the truth of the atomic power, he would have become a watchmaker, and that unleashed power of the atom changed everything except our modes of thinking. Thus we drift toward unparalleled catastrophe. Politicians, corporate heads, religious leaders, us, take a good reflective look, if you will. What will you answer your children, anyone's child, what we did to stop the naked destruction of worlds? Fukushima continues its destruction, leaking, feeding, changing. Destruction, mutation, known in time, and of course, if you want to believe the lies, that radiation is safe within range. Somebody bring me the laugh track in, please. Hear loud voices of empire who believe they have the power, right to control voices, but come closer, you will hear voices that speak truth to power. Things power doesn't hear. What will they do if the power of the people begin in full revolt against the USA government? I have a good idea. USA will turn its guns against its own people. The rich will not tolerate revolt. Then what will we do? And finally, not to my, when did I read this before? Not to my politicians that I read that.
Yes, you did. I think that was the first thing you read.
Oh my goodness. Let's end it. Then let us end it.
Thank you.
Amen.
And now you can see this table is full of stuff which I intend to give away fully and clearly. Would you mind? He's going to shuffle that while I reintroduce the prizes. Mark Twain, the Viking Portable Library. Happy for no reason, 7 steps to being happy. Jane Austen, a weighty tome, complete stories, novels out there. Not stories, novels. Ruth Proller, Jahabala, A New Dominion. I don't know anything about that. Irish Red by Jim Shelgard. Shelgard. You know how to say that?
Maybe.
Shelgard. Then we have Issues of Poet Talk. We have What Darwin Got Wrong. My address and phone number. He owes me $50. Peregrine Falcon, and this book by myself, Insight to Riot. Talks about why we need to change things. What we'll do, we get them, but not how to go about doing, because that invites argumentation. So, oh, and I forgot this one here. This is Michael Erard, Slips, Stumbles, and Verbal Blunders and What They Mean. So if you get this and you read it and you understand, when someone's lying to your face, you'll know. And then I just dropped something. There we go. Jesus Christ, like a hamburger. Then we got the keynote, the mini feature, the co-pilot, the last word, and choosing the theme or prompt, as we like to say. All right. So please take these, even if you take one of those, take one of these and talk to John. So give a nice donation like for a wonderful organization. Where's the cards?
I have the cards.
Okay, so I'll call it in. You draw the card.
Okay.
All right. Sounds a little good. Down boy.
Here we go. Are we ready?
Are we ready? Drum roll!
Number 2.
Number two. Number 2? We don't have a number 2.
Blank. And number 1.
Number 1, that's Joseph Stegner.
In the restroom.
He's in the restroom?
Yes, he's having
Jesus Mariah. Okay, go to the
We'll
restroom.
get back to him.
So when Joseph comes out, tell him he has a prize.
It was 2 and then 1, and now it's 21.
That'll be Antoinette.
Antoinette!
So take one of these and one of those. It's an evening of doubles.
Wow. One of these? One of these?
One of these and then any one of those, or one. You know what I mean? It's like the
Yeah,
regular
yeah,
prize
yeah,
plus
yeah,
one of
yeah,
those.
yeah. I'll do co-pilot.
Ooh, co-pilot. We're having a co-pilot.
Missed it.
She likes that.
I like it.
18 is oh, sorry. Oh, what is the number?
Sexy number 13.
Number 13, that would be Sander L.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, wrong number.
Keynote.
Keynote. Keynote. Okay, there we go. Thank you so much.
Infinity number 8.
Number 8, that would be Jack Mallender. The mighty Jack Mallender coming up here.
Yeah. I did? Did I win a prize?
Yeah, you're next. Yeah, come on, no, come up here. You already won.
Now.
You go get it now.
I get to pick? I get to pick.
Mark
Twain!
Wait, take one of these.
Mark
Twain. Mark Twain.
Twain, everybody.
Yeah. All right. Well, you have one of these plus any one of the other regular ordinary. It's an evening of doubles. That is Michelle Erard.
Linguistic flubs and why we do them. It's fascinating.
There we go. Thank you. Next, please.
We have Steely Dan's Hey Blank.
Steely Dan is in the house.
Come on, trivia. Steely Dan's Hey Blank.
Never liked
19.
Shem. No one helped me with that? Have some tequila, have some tequila, have some tequila, and chug the rum.